Hi, welcome to Square Ruth. That's my nickname and that's my show. Today, it's a lesson on how to think like Leonardo da Vinci. Not on his level, but in that style where your brain stays flexible and you can see yourself doing many things beyond what you always told yourself you could do. Well, let's see. This is a picture you can see on your screen of Leonardo da Vinci. You know, he didn't just draw this, he planned things out. He figured there had to be places to set the hands, to make the face have a certain proportion. He didn't just put the hands any old place. He didn't just put the top of the neckline any old place. These are all proportions. And you're going to see how math is connected to art. This is a good time for you to get a pencil with an eraser and some paper. Here's what you might want to start with. Draw a square. Doesn't have to be exact. Then near the middle of one, start drawing another square. Then connect the corners. See, all these lines come out parallel. And then pick a place to make a dot, like at that corner or maybe one of the other corners, but that's a good place. Now look at that. Take a look at what you have drawn. Is that dot in the front or in the back? You might see it in the back, where everything else is coming forward, and that is on the back thing, and it's going toward the upper left. Or you might see it in the front, where it's on the front face and everything is going toward the rear left. Whichever one you see it at, switch it to be the other one. This has ambiguity. It has mystery. It has something called sfumato. Leonardo da Vinci loved mysterious things that were not set a certain way. All right, now think about that. I learned the connection between math and art from a book years ago that I was reading called Drawing on the Right Side of the Brain. This is a book that I came across, and I used it to teach math. I was a math teacher, and I taught art. But when I taught math, I saw this book, and it teaches how to make your brain so flexible that you shift to a certain kind of thinking, whereby if you're going to draw your hand like an unusual position like this, you don't think to yourself, how am I supposed to draw that? Because that's how you think for math. So I told my students, what this book says, we're going to reverse so that you can do math. This book is falling apart because I have shown this book to thousands of math students over the years. This is a wonderful book, and it teaches you to shift over to a side of the brain, the right side of your brain, so that you're thinking of having the object control you. Here's what I mean by that. On your paper that you have, if you're going to draw something, you have to look and you have to notice. And notice the shape, and that shape is going to control you. Now today, you have part 1 of my Da Vinci series. There are 3 parts. In part 1, you're going to have an overview, and you're also going to learn the whole thing. I'm going to give you an awareness of the whole thing. But in parts 2 and 3, we're going to get into the details of the method even more. But you might find this as a very good method for you to have a pathway to math. You may feel like you could never do math. You may know someone who feels they could never do math. Well, you're going to be able to take what I'm showing you in these 3 parts and explain it to them, and that may be their pathway to math. It's an unusual way to get better at math. So, first you need to know the alphabet of drawing. Drawing has 5 shapes: dot, circle, arc, line, Angle. Anything anyone ever drew was made up of these 5 things. These 5 things are the elements, not the elements of art. That's a whole other topic. It's a wonderful topic. This is part of everything that's drawn. This is a picture that Leonardo drew. It's a picture of an angel. It's just the head. But take a look. You will see dot, circle, arc, line, angle. Like here are a couple of lines. If you look very closely, there's an angle. You can see an angle here, and it forms an angle with that. You want to copy what those angles are when you're drawing. This is a skill of realistic drawing. I'm teaching this particular skill because what you learn here, we're going to reverse it to do math. Here's an enlargement. Look very carefully. Looking is very important. In this kind of a situation, what you see and how you take it in and what you notice. I use the word notice very carefully. I want you to notice in the corner of the eye, there is a rectangular shape. It goes over, and there's an arc, and down, and there's an arc, and over. You don't usually look for that stuff, but if you're going to draw realistically, you need to look for all these things. And to know that it's just dot, circle, arc, line, angle, that's what you're looking for. And look at this, the mouth, like there's an arc and another arc. And then this right here is more rectangular. And then there's an angle going down and then up. Then this is almost a right angle. You have to think to yourself that exactly what's there is what you want to put on your page where you're drawing. In part 2 of this series, we're going to do a lot more with drawing. All right, look at what we see here. We see the heart of a flower. It's a sunflower. And you're going to see things in arches. Arches that go clockwise and counterclockwise. I'll mark one of these. That's, if you count as the first one, then there's a second one, and a third, fourth, fifth. If you go all the way around, in this direction, you will get 55 of these arcs. They're in a spiral shape. And then if you notice, they also go in the other direction. All right, if I count this one as 1 in the other direction, and then 2, and then 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. In the other direction, you will get 34. In one direction, there's 55. In the other direction, there's 34. These are special numbers. Wait till you see these numbers and how they relate to architecture, art, nature, wonderful things. All right, in the human body, there are all kinds of examples of these particular numbers. Like, for example, if you look at your finger, you'll see this is short, this is medium, this is long. They're not just in any old proportion. This to this is about 6/10, 0.6. Same thing for the medium to the large, 6/10. If you're into math, you get proportions. If you're not yet, wait till you see these 3 parts of my Da Vinci work. You might get into math. If you don't draw, a lot of people do not draw. Below age 10, everybody draws, but after age 10, people stop themselves from drawing for various reasons. Well, if you don't draw, you might get to draw. So leave possibilities open for yourself. All right. Another book that is very useful, and you'll see all this on my website, which is squareruth.com. There's many more details than what I'm showing you. And there's also bibliographies. This is called How to Think Like Leonardo da Vinci by Michael J. Gelb, whom I met. I took a class with him, a week-long course at Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York. And he does something very different with Da Vinci. His is much more holistic. Mine is geared specifically to get you able to do math. And plus you get to draw, which is an added benefit. But his is totally holistic. And I learned from him, and I said to him, you know, I like your title, and I teach a workshop. I'd like to use a title similar to yours. Do you care? He said, no, this is wonderful. The more people know about this, the better. He said, buona fortuna, good luck. And he was happy about this. By the way, the alphabet of drawing came from Mona Brooks. Mona Brooks is one of the great master teachers of art, just like Betty Edwards. Mona Brooks developed that alphabet of drawing. She taught drawing with older children and teens and adult beginners too. And she has another book, Drawing with Children. So that's where I learned about these things, which is very good. When you're a math teacher and you also teach art, you can relate to people on different levels. And a lot of people find it much better if they can connect with a math teacher than trying to learn how to do math. All right, so let's see the notes. All right. The golden ratio. All right, hang on. We got to do this. We got to do done. And we got to do this. Notes. Erase. All right, that's not disappearing. So if I, All right, I will blend that in. The Fibonacci numbers. Fibonacci was a mathematician, and Fibonacci was his nickname. His real name was Leonardo da Pisa. He came from Pisa, just like Leonardo da Vinci came from Vinci, Da Vinci. All right, 1 and 1 makes 2. 1 and 2 makes 3. 2 and 3 make 5. 3 and 5 make 8. 5 and 8 make 13. Which I think is wonderful. Then this continues. This goes on forever. 8 and 13 make 21. 21 and 13 make 34. And these two make 55. Remember that sunflower? We had 34 in one direction, 55 in the other. These Fibonacci numbers are very important. Remember looking at my finger? The small section was in the ratio of 2 to 3. And then the medium to the large was 3 to 5. And if you do 2 to 3, it's very similar. It's about the same value as 3 to 5. It's about the same value as 5 to 8. These give you the golden ratio. Fibonacci numbers give you the golden ratio. If you put 3 over 5, it's about the same as 5 over 8. It's about the same as 34 to 51. These numbers are in the list of the Fibonacci numbers, and the golden ratio relates to so much in the real world. Okay, let me show you some of the things that the golden ratio relates to. Here are some pine cones. I colored the ends of them with my granddaughter's nail polish. And if you count, these came from the same tree, but I did the counterclockwise spirals on this one. And if you count one of them as 1 and you count in this direction, you will get 13. Whereas if you go in the other direction and the same pine cone, you will get 8. 8 and 13 are Fibonacci numbers. What you need to know is that it's everywhere, even in your vision. You know how we have peripheral vision? If I put my hands like this and go outward, right about at a certain point, like right here, if I stare straight at you, my hands disappear. So that's the limit of my peripheral vision, right about to there. Then if I come to the middle, and if I do the same thing and see where my hands disappear, which is right about there, Well, this distance compared to this distance gives you 0.6, which is a golden rectangle, a 3 by 5 card. 3 and 5 are Fibonacci numbers. So human vision fits into a shape like this. Your belly button is in a point where this is 3 to 5 of your whole height. Your arms, this is 3 to 5 here, the hand to the forearm. Forearm to the top of your arm, your upper arm, is also 3 to 5. The golden ratio is everywhere. And I'll show you some things that you would never expect the golden ratio to be in. Pineapples. You can go to the grocery store and you'll see that these little sections on the pineapple are also arranged in those shapes. They go in this direction, one, but you have to keep turning it. This is only one view of the pineapple. They go in that direction, but you could also notice that they go in the other direction. You will get 8 in one direction and 13 in the other. On very big sunflowers that you would see like at a fair, you would have 55 spirals in one direction and 89 in the other. Fibonacci numbers. All right, this is an artsy view of a pineapple. Look at this picture of the Parthenon in Greece. You can see it's like a 3 by 5 card. This is in the proportion here to this, the height to the length of 3 to 5. And you know what happens if you cut off a rectangle, a square? This is called a golden rectangle. If you cut off a square what remains is a golden rectangle. If you cut off a square from that, then what remains here is a golden rectangle. If you cut off a square of that, then what remains is a golden rectangle. Cut off a square there, and it goes smaller and smaller. And if you do an arc in each square, you get a spiral. You get a spiral that is just like our galaxy. Now this, I think, is kind of neat, because as these arms go out, they go out in the shape of the golden rectangle. This is coming up. This is the Mobius. This you'll see in part 2 of our class. Part 2 of How to Think Like Da Vinci. This looks like an infinity symbol. That galaxy, there's a whole universe of possibilities for you. And if you look at the Mobius, it's got a symbol looking like infinity. You need to think of your possibilities as being infinite. If you can expand the way you think, and in these 3 parts of our Da Vinci class, they're going to expand the way you think like you never would have believed possible. And you too will have this smug expression on your face saying, I can do a whole lot of things that I never thought I could do before. Well, this has been fun to talk with you about, and I'll see you next time for part 2 of How to Think Like Da Vinci.